Hi, I'm Keir Doyle. I'm an organiser for NeuroPride Ireland and BiPlus Ireland. I'm a volunteer and an activist with several community groups. I am neurodivergent and chronically ill. I'm a parent and I am a part-time AAC user. I have situational mutism. Sometimes my mouth words fail me. These muted moments could be a few minutes long, hours, or even days. I could be having autistic burnout, or maybe I'm just emotionally deregulated, whether that's from extreme happiness or sadness, really any intense emotion. Sometimes I'm just too physically tired to speak, but whatever the reason, it's times like that that I turn to my AAC app. My AAC app is super handy, but there are barriers to being a part-time adult AAC user. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I was so excited to be given this opportunity to speak. I wanted to do all this research about what it meant to be an adult AAC user, but I got sick and I wasn't able to. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is my own personal experience. But I know through casual conversations at NeuroPride meetups that these experiences are not unique to me. Now, the first barrier I had to overcome when starting to use my AAC app is something I still struggle with, and something we all face at some stage in our lives: internalized ableism. Every time I was on the verge of mutism, I would fight through because I should be able to use my mouth words. I worried about annoying people, inconveniencing them, and about 101 other ways that I allegedly negatively impact those around me. On days where I was completely mute, I would isolate myself away from the world so no one would see that I couldn't use my mouth words. I was deeply ashamed. But here's the thing. I'd never say that to somebody else. I wouldn't even think it about other people. It was through my activism and advocating for other people's needs that I needed to learn to unlearn this internalized ableism and start advocating for my own speech needs. Slowly but surely, I started using other ways to communicate. Instead of choosing not to go to a Zoom meetup, I would attend and use the chat function. And I started researching AAC options. I downloaded my first app and I went from not even being around my family when I was mute to now using my AAC app whenever I needed it. I'm not going to lie and say that the internalized ableism still doesn't shout reasons at me as to why I shouldn't use these apps, but I am much better at shutting down those thoughts and reaffirming why I deserve these communication access needs. We all know there is a lack of understanding and acceptance around AAC usage in far too many settings. I've been lucky that my friends and family accept my AAC app to the point where they will encourage me to use it if they notice that I am struggling. But unfortunately, I have too many instances where people remind me that I can speak properly, and too many of these happened in college or at medical appointments. This ableism easily gets dismissed because I should have waited until I was allegedly well enough to attend these appointments. I wasn't allowed to contribute in college classes if using my AAC app, as it was apparently too slow and distracting for the rest of the class. We need people to be aware of different communication needs and how these can change. The person best suited to determine these needs is the individual. It is our responsibility to adapt accordingly and not to unnecessarily exclude them from life purely due to an ableist standard we wish them to uphold. On a practical level, having your AAC app on your phone is super handy. It's cheap, it's convenient, it's a great way of communicating. Though ensuring the charge lasts all day can be a bit of a challenge. And moreover, there's many places where phones are not allowed or are discouraged. And then it can be very difficult to try to navigate advocating the need for one. I can't afford an AAC designated device, like so many disabled adults I know. Yeah, there are so many situations that I'm not allowed my phone and as such can't communicate. Whether it's at a show, in a lecture, there's just too many places where phones are not allowed. Sure, only the other day, I couldn't bring my phone down from the hospital ward down to get an x-ray. And trying to communicate without a pen, paper, my phone, meant I end up having an impromptu game of charades with the porter and radiographer to try to get me back up to the ward. Now, earlier I mentioned I was a parent. It's not something I normally bring up about myself, but I think it's important for this context because I think we should be trying to normalize AAC usage. My child has only ever known me as somebody who's willing to use AAC. They have never experienced me wanting to cut myself off due to shame. They see nothing unusual about it. For them, it's completely normal. There are days that they will draw instead of using mouth words because communication is a full experience. And they know that. Communication doesn't have to be prescribed, nor should it be. It just needs to be understood. So we did go through a fun stage when they were a toddler. They would take my phone off me if they didn't like what I was saying, like, let's go to bed. Just like they would put their hand over their daddy's mouth. So we had to learn at a really young age not to remove somebody's accessibility tool from them without permission. There's so much more I could say about my and my fellow AAC users' experiences, but it's not all barriers. My AAC means I no longer have to isolate myself. I get to enjoy social activities. I've even had full therapy sessions using only my AAC app. It's allowed me to live a fuller life without exhausting myself beyond my limits. And I am extremely grateful to my community for showing me that my AAC app is a valid way to communicate. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Thank you.